4, 3, 2.
Welcome back to 755 is Real. And we are presented by our guys at Topps Cards. If I can find the read thing here. Top 70, that's what it's called, right?
Topps Project 70, celebrating 70 years of Topps baseball cards.
Yes.
Boom.
Yeah.
I got it.
Welcome to 755 is Real, presented by Topps. Check out Topps Project 70, celebrating 70 years of Topps baseball cards. All right, man. Eric, I'm with my co-host, Eric O'Flaherty. You guys know him. You love him. Former left-hander with the Braves, who the Braves could use right now, as a matter of fact.
No, they could not.
You don't think you could help out?
Maybe one game and then I need a week off.
Well, we're down here in Miami, and the Braves, I know everybody's getting tired of hearing it, and I know Smith's getting tired of being asked about it. The last time he was asked, he's just like, you know what? I'm just going to look at Friday. Bowman asked him about, getting to 5, still having that chance to get to 500 after winning that game in Pittsburgh. But they'd have to sweep the Marlins to be over 500 at the break. Can't be at 500. It's going to be below or above. And these Marlins just took 3 straight from the Dodgers before the Dodgers won yesterday down here to salvage 1 win out of 4. So the Marlins are no joke, man. They got some good young arms. They lost Sixto Sanchez for the rest of the year, but we've seen them enough this year to know they're no joke. They're 6-4 against the Braves. So, but I thought that game the Braves played at Pittsburgh, one, it underscored how wildly inconsistent this team is. I mean, they throw up 20 on a team or 14 or 13, and then they go 10 games without scoring more than 3 runs. It's just the nature of this season this year. But it was a big one as far as not getting swept by the Pirates. They would have been the first team swept by the Pirates all year, home or road. And, get a little momentum going to that off day, which is, as they spend down here on Key Biscayne.
Those off days in Miami are nice.
Yeah.
Most guys bring their family, swim in the pool, get some sun, fish. It's a good day to kind of reset mentally. But yeah, that you would have liked to do better in Pittsburgh, but I mean, it's just anything can happen in baseball, man. I didn't see a series going that way, but it did. And same thing in Miami. Miami's a tough place to play.
Especially given the pitchers they faced in Pittsburgh. They got the draw. They're their worst guys, 2 guys with ERAs like 5.2 and 5.8 or something. Then the guy they faced in the final was finale was over 6 ERA. So, and all those starters pitched well. That guy didn't, but the others pitched really well against them. So, we've discussed ad nauseum this offense. I think it is what it is. I think Orlando Arcia was a nice addition, and LaCroix. I thought the other day LaCroix played a great game. We forgot the little things that people can do because we never see this team bunt, and LaCroix lays down that sacrifice bunt. It's only the second one he's had in like 5 years, but you'd have never known it. It was like old school baseball there, and it ended up being pretty big too in that huge inning they had, 6-run inning, I think it was. I'm
interested to see how the staff does throwing to him. I really believe in that. Having a veteran back there is a big deal. You'll see it play out, but I don't like being hard on Contreras. I think he's had a lot on his plate, trying to manage a staff your first year in the big leagues and, handle big league hitting at the same time. There's times where he's kind of looked overwhelmed. Yeah. I think he's got a bright future, but just having a guy like LaCroix back there, calling pitches, going through games and handling, some of the relievers, some of the guys that can kind of go either way. I think it'll be good, and I'm just interested to see how he does catching.
And he's handled quite a bit of them too at either at Gwinnett or like Smiley. Yeah. He caught him the World Baseball Classic a couple times, so he does know these guys, and he's been around forever. Over a decade, and pretty damn good catcher for a while there. A couple of All-Star berths, and was on both sides of the ball. He could really hit for a while.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I think it was a good move, and having him and Kevin Smith, 2 veterans, to handle these guys until they get Darno back, and Darno's going to be back in August, and that could be really big to add his bat back. I know he started slow, but we saw what he could do last year when he was hitting cleanup for these guys. So that could be nice having him, bring him back, hit him 4th or 5th, make this lineup a lot deeper. And like I said, I thought Arcia has done a good job since he's been up. He had a home run. He hit several singles, and and handled. You never know he wasn't a left fielder because he's looked good out in left field, made a couple nice catches. So we'll see. I mean, they're right there, still in it. We keep saying that, but there they are. They're hovering around 500, just below it, and they're still 3-4 games behind first place. So the race is still wide open, man.
I look at that a lot more than I look at the games above and below 500 right now. I mean, old school dudes always tell you if you can get to 10 games above 500 is when your season's really looking good, regardless of what everybody else in your division's doing. But for me, I just look at 3.5, 4 games back. You know, I mean,
especially this year when there's going to be one team out of this division. I think
it's going to be one because there's 3 teams in the West.
West is too good. Yeah,
they're taking them. I mean, even if the Giants have a terrible second half, they're probably still sneaking into the wild card.
Right.
I mean, but 4 games back, you can flip flop in a week.
Yeah.
You know, the other team struggles. So, I mean, I look at that, and I'm sure people are tired of hearing us say it, but I mean, that's what the baseball season is. It's just constantly giving yourself a positive message and finding your way through it till you get hot.
Yeah, and I thought the way they kind of played, the energy they showed in this Pittsburgh in that finale after losing those first 2, they could have just said, let's just get out of here and get have an off day and regroup. But instead they went out, pounded those guys, had an hour and a half rain delay, and came back and kept pounding after the rain delay. So I thought those were all good signs from this team. I mean, they're not throwing in the towel, man. People might think that, you know, at times they look kind of lackluster out there, but they're not. I mean, they're still. Acuna, you know, still plays with the same energy as ever. Ozzie plays with the same energy that he always does. You'd never know. I mean, Heredia, these guys, you never know that these guys were whether they were 5 games over 500 or 3 or 4 under.
Yeah, I thought that throw Acuna made from right field was a joke.
Yeah.
I like watching those because you watch the positions that those guys get their bodies into to throw. I mean, throwing 95 flat-footed, you know, he couldn't crow hop. He just had to spin and throw.
Yeah.
To be able to do that, man, is just insane. Because look, I long tossed every day. I busted my ass and I had a good arm. But I could throw 95 on the best day of my life off a mound with cleats, you know, like with everything working out, and I'm having a great arm day. This guy catches a one hopper off the fence, spins and throws 95. It's so stupid. Just everything he can do with his body, man. And it would have got him, you know. I mean, if Riley picks that, it was a tough hop, but if Riley picks that, he threw him out.
I mean, I think you can count on one hand the number of guys in the major leagues that could even think about doing that spin, natural athleticism, and then to have that arm. They put him side by side. Valley did a real good job of putting him side by side
with Clemente.
Yeah. And it looks so similar.
Yep.
It really did. The play, the spin was identical. And, you know,
Mookie Betts is maybe the only other guy that pops into my head that could do something like that right now. I mean, there's more guys, but it's just insane. But if you take like a side angle of the position he gets into from a standstill and you put that on a mound, it's like the ideal pitching position. You know, like his foot's down, his back hip's turned, his arms back.
Yeah. And
everything's just loaded up perfect. And he can just jump and relax into that position. It's crazy.
Last night, Camarena, this pitcher for I'm pronouncing it right, I hope. This pitcher for the Padres, they're getting blown out last night by Scherzer and the Nats, 8-0. I mean, and Scherzer's still pitching, and it's like he gets in a little trouble. I think it's 8-2, and the bases are loaded, but they leave the pitcher in because they had run through a lot of pitchers the night before. I think they were just, you know, basically going, we're going to ride with this guy. We're not going to go to the bullpen again this early. He's had one career at bat in the majors, had like a 170 something batting average in a long minor league career. This is the great thing about baseball. You never are this surprised in football, basketball like you are in baseball. Dude drops a bat head on a pitch like down at his shins and hits a line drive grand slam off Max Scherzer. I mean, they come back and win that game 9-8. I mean, that's insane.
I mean, that's like the play where the ball randomly winds up in a lineman's hand or something like that.
Yeah.
And he runs 80 yards for a touchdown. That's how unlikely that is. Yeah. Or maybe even more unlikely.
Yeah.
Did you see his dad?
Yeah. That was
his
great.
Dad's watching it. Your dad knows you can't hit. He's just hoping he doesn't strike out or something. He sees that ball start flying and just loses his mind. That was a cool, just overall cool thing.
And the place was going crazy, man.
I bet.
It was, and then they come back and win the thing, and with a walk
San Diego looks like they got some pretty good crowds lately.
Yeah.
Like this
Yeah,
year.
they do. Once they opened it up,
It used to be a boring place to play when they were just kind of, not good, not bad, and just throwing a team out there. There was no energy in that park. But watching the highlights now, man, it looks packed.
Braves would go in there for a midweek series, and it was like a mausoleum, a library in there.
I
Beautiful park, great weather, and you're like, God, everybody's just hanging out. Nobody's doing anything.
It's just eating tacos at the beach.
Yeah, it's a totally different atmosphere now. It's a lot closer to what the Dodgers have now. I mean, that place is energy. It's energy, especially when the Dodgers come in there. But anybody really, they're last night for the Nats, they were on middle of the week, they were packing the place, or Sunday night, I mean. So we got this series heads into the All-Star break. Obviously, it's the last 3 games for the break. And the weird thing this year, I don't know why MLB decided to do it this way. I know why they were moving the draft back. They moved it back a month, 5 weeks. But to put it on the same weekend as All-Star weekend, I don't understand why they're doing it. To me, there's already tough enough time getting interest in the draft, because it's not like the football and basketball draft where these guys are going to have instant impact, the top guys. But to put it on Sunday, day of the futures game, the day when all the guys are arriving, the last day of the regular season before the All-Star break, that's the first round that night. Okay, but even worse is you have the second and third days of it on Monday, which is like media day at the All-Star game and all that, celebrity softball, that bullshit, and the home run derby. I mean, why would you have the draft on the second day, and then the final day of it, when nobody really cares about, except the guys on your team being drafted, is the day of the game? So I don't know what they're doing. I don't know why they decided to do it this way, but it is what it is. And basically, they're centering it in Denver. That's where the draft is originating from, and we'll see how it goes. But Braves are picking 24th, so it's not going to be one of the guys, the marquee guys. Although it could be that dude from Mississippi State that struck out 15 in the World Series before they won the national championship, Bednar. I've seen him on a couple of mocks going to the Braves at number 24, so we'll see. I kind of hope it's this high school shortstop, 95 to 99 pitcher, Bubba Chandler from Georgia, from near Athens. 6'4", two-sport guy, signed to play football at Clemson, to play football and baseball at Clemson, quarterback. And he's got dude's ambidextrous, threw an inning, struck out the side, throwing left-handed in a high school game. And he's right-handed. And he could supposedly throw a football 50 yards with his left hand. How about that?
That guy's going to cost that. The football dudes, you almost always have to pay more for them.
They got leverage.
Because they got more leverage than anybody else. I remember the Braves, or the Mariners, when I was there, drafted Tuiasa Sopo in like the 4th round. But he had that commitment to UW. So they still paid him 2.2 or 2.3 in the 4th round. So that's just such a good negotiating tool, to have on your side when you go into the draft and you're like, fine, don't sign me. I'll go play college football.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's not bad. There's a kind of a history of Georgia high school kids going to play quarterback at Clemson lately.
Yeah.
No, like I think it was Frenchie too. He was two-sport. He was going to play football at Clemson if he didn't sign, but he was going to sign all along. But yeah, this guy's a stud. I think he'll sign. I think baseball is his first love, so somebody will draft him and give him a nice bonus, I would think, unless he falls to the 2nd round. But anyway, what do you remember about the draft? What round did you go in?
I went in the 6th. So it's funny, man, because I went into the draft. My junior summer in high school, I started throwing like 84. So I had no attention from any schools, but it was the first time I'd ever really stretched my arm out and pitched. So I played on these travel teams for the first time. And by the fall, I got up to like 93, 94. And I kind of flew, like just exploded onto the map, as far as scouts go, because they didn't even know who I was. I go to this big tournament in Arizona. They see me throwing 93 for 5 innings. And so during that game, I had scouts calling my parents, freaking out, telling them, we got to meet you. We want to sit down with them, all this stuff. And they're telling me, you're going to be a first rounder, because I was left-handed throwing 93. And we go into that winter, and I got scouts coming into my house. 3-4 times a week, there's a team coming to my house, meeting with my parents. But when I go out, so I'm just dead set, I'm going first round. I'm going to buy a Ferrari or something. Yeah. I'm just like, I'm dead set, I'm signing first round. So I already had my mind made up, but I go into the winter and the spring, and in baseball in like Texas and Arizona, these guys are prepared. They have programs. They're throwing all year. They're ready to roll. I picked up a baseball before my senior year, like 3 weeks before the season. So I've thrown like 2 bullpens. I go out to my first game, it's 40 degrees out. I don't have any arm strength built up, and there's 30 scouts in the stands. I come out throwing 83. Man. I'm throwing 82, 83, and I see the scouts one after another kind of like look at their gun, look down at it, hit it, make sure it's working. Like, what the hell am I sitting here in 40-degree weather with, negative wind chill watching this dipshit throw 83 for? One after another, I kept peeking up in the stands, and they just packed up their radar gun and left. So I didn't really get my arm strength built up until like my last 2 starts before the draft. And by then teams had already turned all their stuff in. The Braves were pretty heavy on me. They actually had called me and asked if I would sign for a certain dollar amount in the 5th round. And then somebody else fell to them that they liked more. And then I was on the phone with them again in the 6th, and they were still going to give me a 4th round bonus. And the Mariners called and were like, we're going to take you with our next pick. Will you sign? And I was so dumb, man. Every team that said, will you sign, whatever dollar amount they threw out there, I was like, yeah, let's do it. I'm in. So, I mean, I probably cost myself some money saying that, but I wound up going to the Mariners in the 6th round. And it wasn't like now, it wasn't like, everything's on TV and all this stuff. I was just watching that draft tracker in some, back classroom at the high school. And there was no hype, nothing going on. It was, you just get these phone calls.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little bit different animal now.
Yeah. These guys, I mean, the internet wasn't what it was now.
Yeah. I mean, Georgia kids, they're like the ones in Texas and Florida. I mean, they're playing almost year round, I mean, they're playing fall ball, and they're throwing indoors. And
I didn't have any prep. I mean, I was lifting with the football team until like, 3 weeks before the season. And then I just picked up a baseball and started chucking and figured 93 would be there. And it wasn't.
That's the way it's done, right? Lift with the football team until 3 weeks before the season and just start throwing.
Nope.
Wow.
I mean, it just takes time to build up arm strength. And I just thought, I did it before. I was like, I throw 93 now. So I'll just show up and do that. And it was like 82, 83. And the scouts were just like, what the hell am I watching?
Do the Mariners try to do what I mean, obviously it's different because there's so much talent in Georgia, but Atlanta always, if there was really good prospects, because there always are a handful here of potential first rounders. The Braves always like taking those guys if all things were equal, do with the Mariners like that with guys out there, or there's so few out there? So
they are.
Few that are there, they want to get them, right?
Yeah. So I threw, and this was another thing I was doing wrong. Before the draft, I went and pitched a Legion ball game. I threw a complete game on Friday in Spokane, and then drove to Seattle for a showcase the next day. So I probably threw 120 pitches the day before. And then I went out and faced live hitters. I went and faced live hitters at Safeco Field, threw like a 30-pitch bullpen for the scouts, and then faced hitters. So, I mean, it wasn't planned out well. I wasn't giving them my best showing, but I still, I did all right, and they liked me, and they wound up drafting me. But, I think being prepared and knowing, what I was getting into and being in a different, state of mind, I probably could have got drafted a lot higher, but it was just what it was.
Has Driveline affected the talent level out there, or more of those kids?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would think so.
Well, see, I was on the other side of the state, but even if you're a high school kid, there wouldn't have been the facilities back then to go throw at and stretch your arm out. And that was part of my problem was, which one of your buddies is going to come play catch with you in long toss before the baseball season in 30-degree weather? I mean, the season starts in like, I think it's like late March, but it's double headers and it goes quick. So now guys have Driveline and, just the knowledge too. Like if I had any of the knowledge of like how to maintain my body, how to do mobility, I had nothing, it was just show up and throw the ball
hard. Hey, so what did you do? You're a guy from the West Coast. What did you do at All-Star breaks when, do most of the guys go home that live on the West Coast or whatever?
No, not on the West Coast, because it's like you're going to spend 2 days traveling.
2 days traveling. But if you're anywhere, I mean, if you're within a few hours, probably a couple hours plane ride, you go home, spend the day.
Yeah, all the guys on the East Coast do, especially like the guys with big money just get a private jet and they leave right after the game. But some guys go to like Bahamas or some little trip. get out of there. But for me, 4-hour flight, time change, it was almost like it just wasn't worth it to go home. I got lucky a couple times when I was with Oakland. We played Seattle before the All-Star break or after it.
Yeah.
So I wound up getting like 7 days at home, where that was cool. But most of the time, yeah, I mean, it's not worth it to do that time change and fly all over the place.
You see, there's a few guys we were talking about, guys skipping the All-Star game. There's a few, DeGrom, but then also 2 from the Astros.
Tuve, Correa, I think.
Yeah, 2 from the Astros.
I'm telling you, it's hard to get across to people, but the dudes that have been there for 6, 7 All-Star, it's not that fun for them anymore. They'd rather just have 3 or 4 days off.
And it's going to be a select group of guys. In DeGrom's case, he's the best. He's been to a bunch of them already. He's the best pitcher in the world. And Altuve and Correa, they've won a World Series. They've been to All-Star games. It's like, okay, And
if you have any injury or nagging, thing going on, like DeGrom's come out of plenty of starts where he probably doesn't want to waste those bullets,
go. Yeah. He's doing the right thing. Go home, rest for 4 or 5 days. He's had nagging stuff seems like every start. The last thing you want to do is go out and feel some twinge when you pitch them 1 inning in the All-Star game. And you're going to be jacked up even if you're DeGrom. You don't want to get hit. You're 1 inning of work.
I was thinking too,
he would be starting if he pitched in it.
What if you make the All-Star game because DeGrom doesn't feel like coming? I don't think that feels as good as getting voted in and being on the All-Star ballot the first time when they call you up and they're like, hey, DeGrom wants to go fishing. You want to be an All-Star?
Yeah.
I don't know if that hit the same.
Yeah, especially if you're like watching as the guys go down, you're seeing somebody, and then the phone rings. So you're like, "Hey, we've got an opening for."
Yeah, couldn't fill this role, so you want to show up.
A couple of years later, nobody remembers that you were an alternate added to it because in Baseball Reference it just says All-Star.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean you get paid for it too. But I was looking at those jerseys and thinking the same thing. Like, if this was the only year you made the All-Star team and they came out with those ugly ass jerseys, you got to hang one of those on your wall, because you're going to hang that thing. If you get one All-Star appearance, you're going to have that jersey forever.
Awful. I mean, they're
terrible. Some of the New Era hats that are coming out, I don't know what's going on.
I don't know what's going on in New Era. They hired somebody who has no background in baseball, because the one with the multi fonts, like
upside down logos,
fonts. Oh my God, they look awful.
They put the skyline in the background. They turn the logo upside down, put a pair of socks on the side.
The percentage of people that would like those is so small. I can't believe that they don't have a feel for what's going to make money, because that's not going to make money.
7-year-old with undiagnosed ADD or something.
Yeah.
I love that thing.
Those are going to be sold on discount racks at what's that crappy store, that discount store?
They're going to be floating around the dollar store.
They're going to be at Marshalls. They're going to be on it for $5 at Marshalls. You watch those things. They pulled the ones, we ridiculed them so much. They pulled that one line of hats. They didn't even sell them.
Really?
Where they had like in Atlanta, they had a UFO for AT aliens, and they had peach on it. And then a couple of cities, they had like area codes for those cities, and they had some area codes wrong.
They're gonna be floating around wherever those Super Bowl loser shirts go.
Yeah,
a bunch of kids,
like some underprivileged kids, and some third world country, or
all the stuff reminds me of that Steve Buscemi gift, where he's like, "How do you do, fellow kids?" There's just not the feel there.
Oh man!
Hey, real quick, do you guys want to see something that might surprise you about the New Era hats?
What?
Here, just look at your screen real fast. They are sold out. Every single hat on their website is sold out.
Okay, but how many did they make? They
Yeah,
started.
I know,
with like 50.
no, that's something to consider. But even 50
Somebody's
people
saving
buying,
face.
Wow, I'm shocked.
unless New Era themselves bought their
Yeah.
own product, just to like show, like,
I'm
hey,
shocked.
Just buy them and write sold out under.
I'm shocked. Really, I'm shocked. You think? I mean, I want to look into this. They might have pulled these too, dude.
I was going to check that up just as you were saying it, but I looked yesterday because of how atrocious they were.
Yet.
No, I'm not either. But they
me know
were
if
so
you see somebody
atrocious.
wearing
Yeah,
one.
they were so atrocious that I thought that too.
I thought they were worse than the ones they pulled last time. These were worse.
They're up
These
there.
are like, where did that come from? Multi fonts. because everybody's screaming for multi-font hats. Hey, Cam, do you have some ads to read before we finish this thing, or?
No, I don't. We're good. Let's just keep on trucking.
Keep on trucking. Well, we talked about the Braves are going to get they're going to get Darno back, and they're also going to get Yanoa back. And I'm curious to see how Yanoa is used when he gets back. Yanoa could be back as soon as late August. And with the starters pitching the way they are right now, I really think he could help the bullpen unless they bring in they need to trade for a couple of relievers. But given what they've done lately, which is not much, making moves, it's got to be considered for bullpen rather than spend 5 weeks building him up to start.
That slider will play late in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, even as a starter, he's throwing upper 90s sometimes when he feels good. So,
yeah.
I mean, he's definitely got the stuff. You just got to look at, where the need's at. And
he did it some last year too.
Yeah. Well, I like the role he was in last year when he comes back.
Yeah.
Because he seems like a guy that can handle not knowing when he's going to pitch.
Yep.
So if you wind up needing him, even a game where you wind up needing 3 innings out of the pen and it's somewhat close.
Yeah.
Bring him in, let him shut it down and let him kind of get stretched out on the roster versus trying to, if you say he's going to be a starter, he's got to have 2-3 starts in Gwinnett. He's got to build up way longer. Yeah. I mean, I like that role for him. If you decide you want an 8th inning dude, or, I mean, he's got the stuff to close too. It's just a matter of, can he handle it mentally? Because there's a lot of pressure in the 9th, but bring him back and keep him in that role he was in last year and let him kind of get stretched out actively and just see what the need is. Cause he can do a lot of different things.
Yeah. Be the opener, go into inning with him, go.
You got a double header and he's already thrown, 3 in his last relief appearance. See if you can get 4 out of him.
And I wouldn't have said that early on, but the starters are throwing so much better now than they were. So,
yeah.
I mean, Smiley has just turned it around, man. This guy's pitching. And the other day he gives up 3 in the first in Pittsburgh, and I'm going, here we go. Finally gave up a home run because he'd gone 4 starts without giving up one. But the way that he regrouped, he was not doing that in April and May, man. He ended up having a decent start. Gives up 3 runs in 5 innings,
Isn't it crazy that he's been good for a while, but that here we go, how that first impression you make, or if you start off struggling, everybody's just always waiting with that here we go again. That's so hard to shake as a player, but I think he's done a good job of that, at least in his own world, just personally shaking that. And he has a bad first inning and he's able to put it behind him and roll versus like, shit, here we go again. I'm gonna give up 7.
And limit it to 1 homer. He's like 5-0 with a sub-2 ERA in his last 5 starts.
But people still hate him.
It's the best run of any starter this year.
Yep.
Well, and a lot of the people still hate Luke Jackson, who's been the best reliever. So they hate their best starter and best reliever.
That's baseball. At least online baseball.
Yeah.
Teammates know it.
Yeah. Yeah. They appreciate what he's done. I mean, he's earning his keep now, the $11 million contract. If he just keeps this going, it's going to be crucial for them because and they're getting good. Ian Anderson's been solid. I think people look at Ian Anderson last year and just assumed he was going to do what he did last year again, sub-2 ERA.
Yeah.
It's like nobody knew him last year. There was no scouting report on him. There was nothing. He was, nobody was gearing up for him. Everybody knew him coming into this year. I mean, he's.
Well, and if he showed up this year, if this was your first impression of him, you'd be extremely pleased with it.
Yeah.
It's just that he set the bar so high last year that it's like, maybe he's not as good as we thought or something like that. But if he had just gotten called up this year and pitched the way he had, you'd be like, yeah, this guy's got a future,
23 years old. Yeah.
Yeah. He's, nowhere to go but up.
Yeah. He's still got basically a half season, under his belt.
Yeah.
Barely over a half season.
He's looked good. Charlie's looked good. Charlie still, occasionally has that inning that,
the one
that
bad
kind of
inning
derails it.
Yeah,
but
that in Pittsburgh. If you would have told me Max Fried was going to be like the most erratic one out of it, after April and May, because Smiley was just bad then for April and then parts of May. But Fried, I'm surprised. Whenever he has a bad game, I'm surprised. But he's had quite a few of them this year, where you're like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
I mean, is he just that type of pitcher that if his curveball's not on that day, he doesn't throw hard enough that he could just blow people away. So he's prone to a game like that. I mean,
I don't know. I mean, I think you go through years where you're battling.
Yeah.
You create a bad habit and you kind of go back to it and you fall into it and you're always
Gets
fighting that
offline.
habit. You get offline. You know, there's years, like I had some years where I didn't even have to think on the mound. I didn't have to make a single adjustment. You know, I just had one simple key. And then there was other years, you saw them where it was like, fuck, every time out, I don't know what's going to happen.
We're like, Jesus, what happened to O'Flaherty?
Hey, and I'm thinking the same thing while I'm doing it. And like, I'm pushing the same button I pushed last year. It was 93 on the black, and now it's 89 cutting down the middle. You know, I mean, that's just the battle of baseball. Is you kind of have years where your body's functioning different, or you create some bad habits. And for me, it's not like, you know, Fried isn't this guy, and he's probably not the guy that you saw last year or the year before, where you're like, this guy's going to win 20 games every year with the 1-5. You know, he's probably somewhere in the middle, but this is a battle year for him where he's got to figure it out and make adjustments and get through it. And, you know, those are the years that derail some guys. You know, you give up, all of a sudden your Max has a 5 and he's not making the adjustments, and you just fall off a cliff for your career. For him, you know, he's probably just, he's feeling for it a lot this year, and he's still able to battle and go out there. And it's the same thing as with Smiley or Morton, is like, as long as they find it by playoff time, you know what he can do.
And it was the great sign that blister didn't linger, because it was hot and humid down in Atlanta. He's pitching and in some other places they've been, and it did not come back. So that's a big one. It was smart putting him on that 10-day IL.
And that's another thing, you know, he's had to kind of have a few things like that this year where kind of gets you out of your
the hamstring.
Out of that role you're on.
Yeah, he had the hamstring. Yeah. All right, well, let's see what the Braves can do in this last series. Like Snit said, I'm just going to look at Friday. Don't think about the whole series. But I would be shocked if Acuna gets hit again. But I've said that before when they faced the Marlins. But if he were to get hit in the first pitch of any of these games, oh my God.
See, I wonder if he even gets hit, period, if it'll be warnings, or if somebody gets tossed after last week. But I mean, he's going to keep getting hit.
They didn't give warnings the day after that game, so
they didn't, because they probably, I mean, they knew they blew it. But yeah, if he, at this point, it's like, it's always going to look suspicious when they hit him, because they've hit him so many times. But you know, a righty flies open on a fastball.
Just can't be the first pitch.
It cannot be the first pitch of the game.
Well, stay tuned. He's putting up some. They got some guys that are going to have some hellacious numbers at the break, man. You know, Ozzie Albies, Jesus, people, he gets so overlooked somehow. But I mean, this guy's having a hell of a year. The extra base hits and the RBIs, he is for a guy that's still trying to figure it out, switch hitting, you know, still trying to get that one side back, you know, anywhere near the other.
Yeah,
he's a hell of a player. He's a hell of a player, man.
He is. I mean, if Acuna wasn't on the team, there'd be a lot. It's just he kind of steals the spotlight from him, but he's pretty damn good too.
Yeah, it's hard to think of two guys, you know, on a team being
that dynamic and getting all the attention.
But they are, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll be back on here once during the All-Star break, probably Monday or Tuesday. We'll talk about how this last weekend went and the All-Star game. Kind of looking forward to this All-Star, the home run derby, man. Yeah, we got to talk the day after the home run derby.
I watched the 98 home run derby. The farthest ball hit was 510. I bet my house there's a ball hit farther than that.
Oh yeah, I'm guessing 550 is the over under.
I put the over under at 535, and I don't feel good about it. I think it's going to get beat.
Yeah, I think it will, because especially if they use juice balls, which I think they will. Like,
they're going to be juiced.
Why not go for it? Take advantage
of those 2019 balls. All the leftovers.
Because when are they going to be at Mile High again? 20 years. So yeah, go all out. It's going to be something, man.
Ohtani's going to hit one 600 feet.
Oh my God, Ohtani. I'm just kind of surprised Acuna's not in it, man. I really did expect him to be, but he might have done smart things. Said, you know what? I don't want any of these nagging injuries in the second half. I don't want to risk tweaking something going for it.
Yeah.
Plus, he's got to look at that competition and go, I'm not winning that home run derby with
Gallo,
Ohtani and Gallo and the defending champion.
Yeah, he could win it though.
He could, of course, but Ohtani, it's gonna be tough to beat Ohtani.
He's gonna hit a ball. I'm at least 550. He's gonna leave the stadium, and he's probably gonna hit those seats in dead center up above the trees.
what is that? Sky, what do they call it? Rock pile.
He's going over that.
All right. Well, stay tuned. We'll be back here on Tuesday then, I guess. That we'll plan
right.
for that. All right. 7:55 is real. We're out. Thanks.